share.
Okay, excellent. So now we'll have Professor Sylvia Kritzinger, who's one of the leaders of the Monitoring Electoral Democracy Group, presenting on the initiative, followed by Q&A. Sylvia.
Thank you. Thank you for welcoming me and also for giving me the opportunity to present to you this new infrastructure that we're currently building here at the University of Vienna. But of course, it's an infrastructure which is open to all researchers in the SSH, so in the social sciences, humanities, and even beyond. But we're starting from a very democracy research perspective. I have prepared a couple of slides, and just to let you know, in case you have questions, please ask them immediately. You do not have to wait for me to finish. Whenever you have a question, raise your hand. In case I don't see your hand, just stop me by unmuting yourself and asking your question or clarification that you may have. Well, what is it all about? So MEDEM, we call it the Monitoring Electoral Democracy. This is an emerging infrastructure that we're building currently or have been building for quite some time. Actually, it started 15 years ago, actually more than 15 years ago in the realm of the European Parliament election in 2009. And since then, we have been trying to somehow come up with this infrastructure. And it's actually quite normal that it takes up to 15 to 20 years before it actually develops into a European infrastructure of the size that we're currently proposing to the ESFRI committee. So what is MEDEM? I will come to that. I've already hinted at it in the sense that this is a distributed research infrastructure. By distributed, it means that it's located at different places over Europe, in different universities in different countries. And the focus of this infrastructure is really on democracy research. It's really about all kinds of quantitative research that is done in the realm of democracy research. And we do have a lot of data. We have collected data in this area since the 1940s, 1950s. But what we often have or face as a problem is that the data is not really accessible, or that the data cannot be used to the extent that it should be used, that it cannot be linked in such a way that we can more or less understand how different actors in the democracy area work together. And therefore, we are also limited to a certain extent in how to compare research findings across time and as well across countries. And so therefore, this is what MEDEM will all be about, that we want to improve the accessibility and reusability of the data, that we also would like to improve the data linkage and therefore to allow new ways of doing comparative data, comparative research on democracy. So what's our main aim? To enable and facilitate research in that area. I've already mentioned a little bit the fact that there is so much data out there, but that we do have kind of problems in accessing that and also reusing it. And therefore, we consider MEDEM also as infrastructure, a democratic infrastructure as such, because we are really allowing researchers to get access to that, to get access to the data on voters, on parties, on media, on institutions, in context, over time, across Europe, but also beyond. So therefore, we really try to provide an impetus to democracy research by focusing on data, and that research can become much more data-driven. Important in that regard is that MEDEM is a grassroots infrastructure. This means that there was not a committee or a couple of people sitting together and thinking of an infrastructure, but it's actually something that researchers have come about to learn as a necessity that is needed to do research in the social sciences and humanities in general and in democracy in particular. And this is also an infrastructure which is relying very much on the so-called, what we call MEDEM research networks. These are long-term international research projects. I'm coming back to them in a couple of minutes, that provide their data in such a way that we can do as an infrastructure the work in the sense that we harmonize the data, that we link the data, and therefore then provides this new data sets to researchers, and therefore the researchers can use then this data for new research questions and for data-driven democracy research. So therefore, it's not us collecting the data, but it's really the research networks collecting the data, and we are just bringing that data together and providing all kinds of technical innovation on this data. So one could, of course, say, why would we go for MEDEM? Why would we need to go for an infrastructure? Well, infrastructures are somehow permanent. Projects are always time limited. You all have projects, and therefore, you know that after 3, 4, 5 years, the project is over, but work has not yet been done, or that there are no resources left in order to really take the most out of this project, or that you cannot continue data collection because the project is over. Infrastructures do not have this problem because they are permanent facilities, and therefore they can provide access to data, tools, and networks on a continuous basis. And this is exactly what MEDEM tries to become as an infrastructure, that this permanent facility is there for the researchers in order to provide data, high quality data, of course. We are very aware of the fact that we're not just collecting and bringing data together, but we really would like to provide high quality data. And of course, we are also not blind on the fact that there is not a lot of methodological research and methodological innovation going on in this area. And we as an infrastructure would really like to bring that together and also contribute to these methodological developments, and therefore also provide the most innovative methodological and technical advanced tools to our researchers. Networking, of course, is important because we also would like to provide with our infrastructure possibility for researchers to network and also to get to know which data is out there, data they probably have not yet heard about. So this is happening all the time. And of course, with all this innovation and all the data available, we also offer training opportunities in order to deal with the complex data structures that we will provide. So we are therefore here to enable robust, comparable, and reproducible research, that we are also able to allow research to do innovative and interdisciplinary approach. It's not only political science, but it's also communication sciences, political psychology, geography, data science, contemporary history, and much more that we are trying to cater with our infrastructure. And most importantly, as I mentioned before, we really go for the long-term solution. We would like to go over this project-related thinking that we very often have when doing research. Yeah, and therefore investments are needed in order to counter all kinds of societal challenges that we face today in democracy research, and also to a certain extent to find solutions for all these challenges that we do face. I've mentioned that this is a grassroots initiative and that we're looking into different actors in democracy research. We're looking into voters, we're looking into party, we're looking into institutions, and we're looking into countries. And there are a lot of research networks out there which have collected data on these different actors and therefore have also collected different data types, survey data, text data, but also institutional and country data. And here I've just outlined a couple of research networks that are part of MEDEM, so these grassroots infrastructures, so to speak. And you're probably all aware of the different national election studies, which are now together in a consortium of national election studies, which are based in Lausanne. But probably you're also aware of the European election study, of the CSES, the comparative candidate survey. So all data which is very much based on survey and to a large extent on the voter, on the citizen as such. Then we have lots of text data coming from the Comparative Agendas project, from the Manifesto project, from the DG World, then all the media studies out there. Also there are a lot of research networks which have collected data of that type over the years across countries. And finally, there are research networks really dedicated to institutional country data like party facts or MEDEM, DEM score, Chapel Hill expert survey, and so on, that provide all this information that we need to do proper democracy research. As you can probably realize immediately when just looking at this figure, well, we have, first of all, within each of the bubbles, each of the data types, problems in somehow making the data sets speaking to each other. They are very often not harmonized in the sense that one concept in one data set does not speak in such a way that it can be easily comparable compared to another data set having though the same concept to a certain extent. And this applies to voter survey data, to text data, but also institutional country data. And what we are trying to do in MEDEM is that we harmonize within each data type, and then we are creating linkage points across the different data types. And this is exactly what you see here in this picture. So there is a lot of work to do because we know from user surveys that researchers really would like to have it, but they know it's a lot of work and it's actually endless work because there are always new data sets coming in that you would like to harmonize. There are new data sets coming in that you would like to link with other data types that are relevant for democracy research.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
Can you go? Okay. These are just examples or the entire data you have in each bubble?
No, these are just examples. I show you then later.
Okay, because I have some others. Okay.
Yeah, there are many more, and we are actually discovering on a weekly basis, or actually monthly basis right now, other research networks that we are then inviting to becoming a research network in MEDEM. And we are also already looking into the future, saying that in the future we would like to invite even more research networks. But at the moment, our invitation policy goes towards long-standing comparative research networks, because we need to somehow start somewhere. And if we're just taking everything into account, all the data sets that have been collected at one stage over the last 50 years, then we will probably fail because there is too much on our table. So therefore, we create a basis, we create all the tools based on these long-standing comparative research networks, and then can feed all other research networks in there, because then we have the tools, the processes, and so on for expanding to other data sources as well. But we have more than you can see here. Where do we stand? Well, first of all, we have the political support of 10 countries. Actually, today, the Danish government also sent us the political support letter. We're very happy about it. Last week, actually, yeah, on Friday it was the Swedish government. Then a couple of days before it was the German government, and we're expecting a couple of more to come, so that we probably do get 12 to 13 political support letters. Just to give you overview, we need 3 letters of political support in order to submit our proposal, and you see that we have performed much better in that respect, and therefore also see that there is a lot of support also by governments on this infrastructure. We have
Germany is also committed financially, right?
Yes, Germany has committed financial support, as well as Austria has committed financial support. And then there are a lot of institutions like the University of Lawrence, the University of Gothenburg, and so on, which have also committed financial means to this infrastructure. But at the country level, it's Germany and Austria. Here you can see that we have altogether 31 research networks from which we got memorandum of understanding. So a couple more research networks than I presented on the previous slide. Then we have support letters from university associations, national infrastructures, and also academies, by the way. Over 80 plus, and also this number is really growing by the day. And there is one letter that I would like to show you. We have 995 personal endorsements as of today, and our deadline is on April 8th, and we really would like to get over 1,000 personal endorsements. So if you have any person who has not yet signed a personal endorsement and really can endorse MEDEM, please let these people know that there is still a chance to submit the personal endorsement so that we get over 1,000 personal endorsement, which, by the way, is fantastic because we have just looked up what other research for infrastructures did in the past, and we have a lot of support from our research community in that regard. Here you see just a couple of institutional support or support letters by institutions. It's, as I said, I cannot keep track on all these institutional support letters because they really change rapidly. But just to show you that it's really across all kinds of levels, countries, and so on, that we do get institutional support. And here you see that the question that you asked before was not with regards to research networks. These are research networks that have already signed a memorandum of understanding and therefore provide their data to MEDEM. And actually what I've written here as prospective members is not entirely true because, for example, Chapel Hill has already signed a memorandum of understanding with us. So also there are new research networks coming in providing their data. This is the distributed infrastructure. So where are the different service centers located? You see the University of Amsterdam, the University of Florence, Lewis University in Rome. Then we have the University of Silesia in Poland, then the University of Vienna, of course, the University of Gothenburg. And then we have also the data archives, cases, and also FORS that are part of our distributed infrastructure. So the team is huge, and each of us is really focusing on one service or several services that we provide to the community. And here we are. What are the services that MEDEM is going to provide to the community? First of all, we will provide a measurement map that will provide information to users. And by users, I'm of course talking about researchers, but we are also approaching data journalists, students, and policymakers. And we provide this measurement map with regards to concepts, indicators, how these concepts were operationalized, what are the theoretical underpinnings of that. So all this information will be provided in a measurement map. And this will be an interactive one so that if you're interested in the concept of partisanship, then you can go to this measurement map and then you will see where this concept of partisanship has been measured in whatever data source that you could imagine, not only voter survey, but also in media studies and so on and so forth. And this, of course, is then also helping you to create your own questionnaire, because this measurement map gives you a kind of an indication how has a concept been measured more often, in which context, at what time, because we also do know that concepts do change over time. Based on that, we are then offering harmonization services, which provides users an overview of and access to the harmonized variables across all different data sets that I've just outlined before. And therefore, we are also hoping that we create new user communities and allow new users to really use the data that we prepare in a harmonized way for them. Most importantly, at least, this is what our user survey reported back to us, that we will provide a linking service in the sense that we provide researchers with information on how to best link data sets, either within one data type or across different data types. And we provide then linkage keys so that these different data sets can be linked very easily to each other. Also because we annotate all the data before, and therefore, based on this annotation, plus making sure that we have linkage keys, then the data can be linked quite easily. Of course, this comes along with the search system, very much focusing on what I mentioned before with the measurement map. And for this we will create a platform so that users, researchers have a very easy way of getting access to the data. I realize that with my students every day when I say, okay, write a essay or write a master thesis on a certain topic, and then they are looking up the data sets and do not find which concepts are measured in a data set, because of course we have the keywords, but we do not really have all the measures, for example, that are measured in a voter survey for that matter. Yeah, of course, this comes also with us giving advices to the researchers. So we built an advice desk where experts provide expertise, not only on methodological issues, but also on ethical and legal issues. Just think about the text data. Text data is a highly legal issue where a lot of people do not know how to actually make their data available, openly available, because there are always legal issues connected to that. And that's also something that we will provide in the sense of saying, okay, what can you do with the data? Where do you store the data so that the data is then replicable, and so on and so forth. And as I've mentioned before, there will be training opportunities in order to get to know how to deal with the complex data structure that MEDEM is going to provide. Finally, we're working on visualization tools so that also people not wanting to dwell into too much data analysis can make use of the data. And for this, of course, we're working very closely together with data scientists and so on in order to provide the proper visualization tools. And we hope, of course, to become the communication hub when it comes to democracy research, so that people can really connect to each other when they're doing research. They really figure out who might be the person to work with on a certain issue, because they have a certain expertise, a certain knowledge on how to deal with the data, and so on and so forth. Yeah, we are currently in phase 1. In preparing the proposal, which is due on April the 8th. And then we will enter into a preparatory phase. This means that we're waiting for the outcome of this application, but we are preparing and providing already pilots to our researchers, so they don't have to wait until 27 when MEDEM is starting officially, but we already prepare tools and services to the researchers before. What are the next steps? As I said, April 8th is our lead day, in the sense that we're just waiting for the moment to pass, because then the proposal will be submitted, and then we can wait for a couple of months before we know what are the next steps in terms of when will be the hearing in front of the Commission in Brussels. But of course, there is not only work to be done with regards to providing tools and services to the research community, but we also ask our community to do some work at the national level and within their networks. First of all, we would like to ask the national researchers to build national consortia, so that we do get to know what are the needs, what are the wishes that are coming out of national level. Also because we are sometimes not aware of data or research networks which are out there, and therefore really national consortia would help us to also locate and get to know data that we are not aware. And the same is, and we would like to formalize that. We really would like to formalize national consortia, because in the governance structure, the whole infrastructure, of course, has a governance structure as well. The national consortia do play a role in the sense that the coordinator of the national consortia is represented in the governance structure, and therefore also brings the national wishes, needs, and so on into the governance of the distributed infrastructure. And the same goes for research networks, in the sense that they're also then showing which problems they may have with regards to data, which tools they may want to have with regards to their data, and therefore also they need to somehow get into a formalized collaboration amongst themselves, but also with MEDEM as such.
Sylvia, can I ask a question on the
Yes.
country consortia?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have you and MEDEM have a sense of what the structure of that is ideally for you? Like, for example, like in Israel, if we were to have a contact from each university, political science or communications department, so do you see, I mean, consortia is a very kind of formal term. Do you see it kind of formalized in some way, in some agreement among the country researchers or between the country researchers and MEDEM?
Well, first of all, we are very flexible in that, because we do see, as with political support letters and the process leading to political support letters, it's very different from one country to the other one.
Yeah, for sure.
And for example, in Austria, our national consortia is built in such a way that we have two speakers, or will be built in such a way that we have two speakers, but the universities that are part of this consortia somehow make an informal memorandum of understanding that they are part of this consortia, but there is nothing else involved, right? And then within those researchers who are interested of those universities being part of that, then two speakers are going to be elected. And then these two speakers are the ones that are speaking to the MEDEM headquarters. Then we have other countries where it's clear there is one person, and this person is the national coordinator, and this is our contact person, because the community is very small, or because there are not that many universities working on that area, in these areas, especially not on quantitative democracy research. So we really leave it to the different national coordinators and the national communities, how they would like to organize. I can only tell you how we did it in Austria, in the sense that we said, okay, we all invite all people working in that area at the different universities and research institutions. So we go beyond universities, bring them together, inform them about them, and also then tell them who could imagine being the speaker of this national consortia. Also telling them, of course, there is then some role to be done in the governance structure. So not only with the MEDEM infrastructure, but also inside the national consortia to work as a communicator in both ways to a certain extent.
Okay, great. And as I understand, there's no sort of immediate deadline or timeline by which that would need to be operationalized. Okay.
No, absolutely not. So.
Great.
I mean, the deadline probably would be once we're once we're making it on the S3 roadmap officially, and that will only be the case in 27. And so there are at least 2 or 3 years for all the national researchers to set up such a consortia.
Okay.
Especially for the governance structure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Of course, informing political stakeholders about MEDEM is always helpful. And we did a lot of work on that in the last couple of years. And indeed, that turned out to be very helpful in the sense of gathering lots of political support letters, as you have just seen on the previous slide. So here's a little bit what I've already mentioned before, in the sense that we need your help with regards to create a country consortia, and also to get in contact with political stakeholders on MEDEM, either to sign a political support letter now, or to join the initiative, the infrastructure later, after we have submitted our application. Also, that's possible. So also at a later stage, the political stakeholders can show their support for MEDEM. Why I'm so relaxed about it, because we have reached the number 3, so we are above the 3 support letters. So therefore, now we're happy with any other political support letter that may come to us, will be sent to us, but we are also happy to get support letters after April 8th. So here is just a very summary of what MEDEM is. Infrastructure connecting European research network on democracy research. We are aiming at enhancing and facilitating research on democracy. It's really an entry point for all kinds of data that are related to democracy research. And we're focusing very much on the harmonization of concepts, data, and also linking over time, space, and data type. And therefore, we hope that we can provide you with a lot of services that you can use to make your research more efficient and effective as such. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Sylvia. I've heard different versions of the background, and each time I feel like I'm learning a ton more. So let's open to some Q&A if people have some questions. I have a few questions to and Israeli updates to add in toward the end, but if anyone else has some questions or comments, go for it.
Yeah, if I may.
Yeah.
What's next? My answer is yes, let's do it. Like, just do it. It's an amazing project. The concept of organizing an infrastructure for all the data, and there's so many data. This is why I ask you, and I'm familiar with a little bit more. So perhaps we can share the information. So just let us know what we're supposed to do the next step, and we are doers, right, Jennifer? Jenny?
I think that's right.
Yeah. For me, it's let's do it.
Osnat was the one who was like, yeah, it doesn't matter that we're in the middle of a million conflicts. Let's do the webinar anyway. Well.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah,
with that in mind, so I put in the chat, this is the link to the personal support, individual researcher. I think several of us have already signed. Osnat, I think you might not have yet. So you could be the 996 signature.
Okay, I'm
and
just registering now.
Yeah.
You're getting there.
And you can pass it along to, others, in your department, and maybe to the VAD of the Aguda. So that's one way. There's another way in a practical short term of letters of support from departments and universities. Is that still helpful at this point, Sylvia, or is it actually really more? Yeah.
Yeah, it's helpful. Really, we're collecting all type of support until the last moment. And also we're updating our webpage even after April 8th, because of course this is a very long review process. And therefore, of course, we are updating our information on support, also political support on a regular basis, because those reviewers should know, and also the ESRI board should know that there is a huge support amongst researchers, institutions, and hopefully also an increase in political support in the 1.5 years of the review process. So definitely something that we are always very eager to get in order to simply show everyone that MEDEM is needed.
Okay. So for this, I just put in the chat that there's a form letter of institutional support. We at BGU, our rector has already signed it. I understand from Sylvia, once the rector signs, it's kind of, you don't need to get all the other departments. But in the case where, as it is in most universities, where the rector isn't just hanging around and easy to get them to sign something, having a department chair sign is still, something that's meaningful to do in the support letter. But I can, and we can talk more about the Israel national process in a bit. But let's hear first, are there other questions or comments on what Sylvia presented or MEDEM in general? Yeah. Oh, sorry. Liran and then Gad. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Sylvia. It's really amazing, I think. And I have a question, because you mentioned the European background and organization many times, and we are Israel. And that raises the question of the geographic scope of this project.
Mhm.
Like how is it defined, and how do you see the role of Israel and other non-European countries in it?
Well, we say Europe because it's very much a European research infrastructure. But in our proposal that we have almost done, we say Europe and beyond. And just to let you know, Israel is actually an associated country to the S3 roadmap. Therefore,
Sylvia, I know it took me a while
Yeah.
to understand what SFRI is. Could you say what SFRI stands for? And yeah.
European Strategic Forum for Research Infrastructures. So, for example, CERN, the physics infrastructure, was on the S3 roadmap and then became a legal entity on its own. And this is exactly what we are trying to do. The process is very complicated. You have to become, as an infrastructure, you have to make it onto the S3 roadmap. And when you're on the S3 roadmap, then you're in the preparatory phase to show that you deserve to become a fully fledged infrastructure with their own legal entity, and then you're becoming a ERIC, a European Research Infrastructure. And CERN, for example, is such a infrastructure. And this is a process that is done at the national level, at the governmental level, and therefore it's so important to get the political support by governments, because they know that they will have to support it and also support it in a financial way. And there are a lot of countries, apart from all the European Union member states, there are a lot of countries which are associated countries to this S3 roadmap and ERIC realm or idea. One of them being Israel, but Switzerland, Norway, Iceland, the UK are also part of S3 as associated countries. And they are full members in the sense that they count as much as the other EU member states. And therefore also these infrastructures endeavor go towards those associated countries. So that's the reason why Switzerland has service center and will also provide a support letter. Iceland is also providing a support letter. So yes, we are going beyond the EU member states. And Israel is included in that as well. I think, I don't know whether we had already the chance to talk about it. I said there is the CNES, the Consortium of National Election Studies. As far as I do know, Israel is not yet a member.
They're in the process, I think.
They're in the
Yeah.
process.
Mhm.
So just to show you also that there are a lot of those research networks, which also integrates then research communities from those associated countries.
And okay, and just to clarify in terms of the data, so the data is not restricted to European, so the aspiration is like worldwide data collection.
We're already in contact, for example, with lots of American institutions, ICPSR. They might also issue a memorandum of understanding so that we connect our data. CLIA, I don't know whether you're aware of CLIA. That's also another research network in the US with lots of interesting geographic data that we would like to implement and also learn from them how to do it in the European context. So yes, it goes beyond. It's democracy research. So therefore, yeah, it goes beyond.
Yeah. And I'll add one thing that helped me understand a bit the process ahead is Sylvia mentioned CERN and, thinking of these, more natural science kind of infrastructures. I didn't realize until learning more about this that the ESS, the European Social Survey, is this same kind of an infrastructure. So the reason why Israel is one of the included countries is that at some point, however many years ago, some researchers went through the process that we're just beginning to go through now in this conversation of sort of, talking with people in the government and in other places for having Israel be kind of officially connected. So the ESFRI, the link to that is in the invitation that we sent out on the email to the Aguda. It's like one of the links to explain like this. It's a bit more in the weeds, but I think for those of us who care about kind of wanting to help this move ahead and also have our students, have access to the teaching and the networks and this sort of a thing, I think it's helpful for us to see sort of the word infrastructure like means something specific, and it's like joining as a support member to something like ESS, and that we then on a national level are meaningful supporters, and then all of our students, everyone then has access to being part of the research community, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I have a question about the institutional support letter. So I just need to go to the president. I'm a faculty member at the Western Galilee College. It's a college, it's not university. So basically I need to approach the president, show him the information, and just ask him to sign and send it to you. That's it for now?
That's it. There is no financial commitment or any other commitment connected to it. It's
For now.
really just about support. We support this initiative. That's it. Yeah.
Great.
Gal, you had a question before. Do you still know?
Yes, first of all, it's really impressive project. And I would like to ask, first of all, if a letter from the heads of the political science department all across the country, a joint letter, will be useful. Maybe it will be more easy to organize a joint letter than any institution. Will it be such a letter would be useful?
Absolutely. It will show that indeed there is a lot of research commitment, because how should
that's a fabulous idea, Gal.
The thing is that normally when we're talking about natural sciences, everybody is pretty aware of the fact that this is needed, right? And when we are talking about SSH, we're always facing the problem that they're saying, why would you need an infrastructure? And
SSH being the European term for social sciences and humanities.
Exactly.
Like sometimes it's HS here. So,
So, for example, everybody says that European Social Survey is a great idea, like the Gender and Generation Program is a great idea, but still we need to show more why we need an infrastructure, and therefore showing them that the community and the institutions are really standing behind and really want such an infrastructure helps us a lot, in order to also put a little bit of pressure on the political stakeholders at the European level as well as the national level. Also, what I'm always saying, in comparison to everything that the national sciences do, we are super cheap. Because the CERN is not even getting up in the morning for the money that we do get over the year, right? But the less you cost, the more you have to justify yourself. I was talking to the Dutch ESFRI delegate, and she was saying, we just increased the budget over 60 million a year for CERN. And I said, yeah, we ask 100 and something thousand for you, but you make a fuss out of 110,000 euro, but you don't have a problem with 60 million for CERN. So just to show you a little bit why we need such a strong support by the community.
So one option would be letter of the chairs of the political science, maybe other social science department in Israel, a joint letter. And also Jennifer mentioned the ESS, and perhaps a letter by the former committee of the ESS, the Malak committee of the ESS. Maybe that also
in
be
Israel.
helpful in Israel, because it will, I think, as an associate state, as a state is not in the core of Europe,
right?
Such a letter could emphasize the unique contribution for connecting European studies with local studies. This is also might also be helpful.
Yes, it's helpful. Even though on the ESS, I can say that we have signed a formal memorandum of understanding with the European Social Survey in London. We have done that with the other social science and humanities research infrastructures, like the Gender and Generation Program, but also SHARE, also CESTA. These are the data archives, just to show that this research infrastructure is complementary and we are looking for synergies and we are not working past each other. However, and this is important, so we have already the memorandum of understanding of the European Social Survey. However, there's one important point that you made me aware that I was not mentioning. Of course, signing such personal endorsement, institutional support letters, but also, for example, the Israeli European Social Survey support is, of course, showing commitment of the Israeli research community to ESFRI, but also to the national level, to the national political level. Because, for example, we saw that in many countries, for example, Denmark is a beautiful example, the Danish government didn't want to do anything until they got the pressure from the Danish researchers and the Danish universities and the 4 rectors of the biggest Danish universities saying, we want that. And then the Danish government said, okay, that's then fine. So therefore you have you actually show signs towards the European level, but also to your national political support, to your national level, in showing that you would like to be part of that infrastructure.